This is one of the top 10 classic high-scoring suspense masterpieces in Korean film history. To bring the despicable human trafficker to justice, who could have imagined such an unbelievably creative revenge method? Beyond its tightly woven intense plot, the film's ending completely shatters everyone's expectations. The director not only lays bare the complexity and ugliness of human nature for the audience with stark realism, but also indirectly conveys through the film, never let your child walk home from school alone, because the story kicks off with a high-stakes scene. That day, just after school let out at an elementary school in Seoul, a human trafficker quickly zeroed in on a young boy. As the trafficker closed in, the boy gradually sensed the danger, seizing the moment when the trafficker pretended to tie his shoelaces. The terrified boy immediately bolted towards his home. Fortunately, at the critical moment, the boy's mother stepped out just in time. However, the trafficker did not give up. Days later, he returned to stake out the school gate again, to avoid another failed kidnapping attempt. The kidnapper chose Ella as his target this time. After taking her to a deserted grassy area, the kidnapper confidently called Ha Kyung, demanding she prepare 50 million won in cash immediately if she wanted her daughter back safe. Ha Kyung requested proof her daughter was safe first, which the focused kidnapper did not refuse. He stated that in about 3 minutes, a garbage truck would pass Ha Kyung's house carrying proof Ella was alive. Seeing the photo the kidnapper had taken of her daughter, Ha Kyung agreed to the ransom demand. Following the kidnapper's instructions, at noon the next day, Ha Kyung placed the bag containing 50 million won behind a pillar on the train station platform. Although the police had set up a tight dragnet, what no one anticipated was that when the train stopped at the platform, a large group of veterans disembarked. Their identical uniforms made it impossible to pinpoint the target. While the police were thrown into confusion, the disguised kidnapper had already swapped the packages. Even though police quickly rushed into the crowd, the kidnapper had already escaped out the back. That night, the chief, learning what happened, was furious because the kidnapper had taken counterfeit bills. If the media found out, the entire police force would face severe disciplinary action. To prevent the situation from spiraling out of control, the chief ordered everyone to find the fake money first, temporarily disregarding Ella's mother. This left Chon-ho utterly incredulous, as he believed Ella was now in grave danger. Soon, the kidnapper discovered he had been given fake money. Fortunately, solely focused on getting the huge ransom, he did not choose to harm the child then and there. Instead, he decided to give Ha Kyung one final chance. Now abandoned and without help, Ha Kyung was forced to follow the kidnapper's instructions alone, driving to a roadside location. To prevent Ha Kyung from seeing his face, the kidnapper ordered her to cover her head with a black plastic bag, forbidding her to remove it until he commanded. Meanwhile, Chong-ho traced Ha Kyung's phone location and was nearing the site, yet the kidnapper still successfully took the ransom. Just as Ha Kyung believed she would soon see her daughter, the child suddenly fell from the woods on the mountainside. The impact sound forced Ha Kyung to tear off the bag, filling her with dread. Seeing her daughter's body, Ha Kyung couldn't believe the reality before her eyes. Her hope utterly shattered. The trauma overwhelmed her. In the following days, Ha Kyung visited her daughter's grave whenever possible, never escaping the pain. Her body seemed drained of its soul, like a zombie drifting through life, endlessly praying the police would catch the kidnapper. Yet reality remained cruel. As time flew by, Chong-ho visited Ha Kyung one day. Ha Kyung thought there might be progress in the case, only to learn from Chong-ho's colleague that less than 6 days remained before the 15-year statute of limitations expired. Considering the case had dragged on too long and victims' families might have blurred memories, the police planned to end the investigation. This news agitated Ha Kyung instantly. The events remained vivid in her mind. The two officers didn't know how to comfort her. As the guilt-ridden men prepared to leave, a distraught Ha Kyung emerged from her house.
부회장님! 나한테 약속했잖아요. 반드시 잡아주겠다고 분명히 약속했잖아요. 이렇게 끝나면 안 되는 거잖아요. 네!
Perhaps moved by shared pain, Chong-ho resolved to spend the final 5 days exhausting every lead to identify the kidnapper. To his surprise, a memorial bouquet lay by the roadside where Ella died. Learning it wasn't left by Ha Kyung, Chong-ho wondered, could the kidnapper have placed it? He rushed back to review surveillance footage. After hours of scrutiny, Chong-ho finally spotted the person laying the flowers, but the grainy footage obscured their face. To verify if the man was the kidnapper, Chong-ho went to the mountain woods. Clear tire marks proved the man intentionally parked there, then climbed the guardrail to place the flowers roadside, confirming the kidnapper had returned. With the face unidentifiable on camera, Chong-ho sought vehicles from that night, hoping to trace the license plate. Sadly, though he found dashcam footage, the kidnapper had removed the plate, dashing Chong-ho's hopes. Yet he refused to quit. After relentless days and nights of searching, he spotted a unique emblem on the kidnapper's car, but with only 9 hours until the statute expired, Chong-ho had no leads. Fortunately, as hope waned, a car suddenly caught his eye. Seeing the matching emblem on its windshield, Chong-ho immediately compared its tire tread. It was unmistakably the kidnapper's vehicle. Noticing someone inspecting his car, the distant kidnapper tried to slip away. Chong-ho spotted him and gave chase, but the kidnapper's knowledge of the terrain let him vanish swiftly. With no other options, Chong-ho searched shop by shop. After careful elimination, he entered the most likely hiding place. His sharp instincts told him that the man sitting up front might be the kidnapper, but just as Chong-ho approached to question him,
오빠 나왔어요.
though Chong-ho chased him outside instantly, the kidnapper used the crowd as cover and escaped right before his eyes. Finally seeing the kidnapper's form reignited hope in Ha-kyung, but Chong-ho stated only 2 hours remained. The case was beyond saving. These words pierced Ha-kyung's heart like an icy needle. Unable to give Ha-kyung closure, the guilt-ridden Chong-ho decided to resign and leave. Ha-kyung suddenly called, but facing the police chief's reminder, Chong-ho had to hang up. After burning years of investigation materials, Chong-ho finally remembered to check Ha-kyung's voicemail. Learning Ha-kyung still refused to give up, the helpless Chong-ho slowly looked up at the sky. No matter how fiercely they resisted, they could only submit to the established legal system. Little did Chong-ho know, this decision to abandon Ha-kyung would become his deepest regret. Just as everyone assumed the kidnapper had vanished, weeks later on a quiet morning, an identical kidnapping occurred. Han-chul was pushing his granddaughter on a swing as usual when his home phone rang. He told his granddaughter to stay put and rushed inside to answer, but the call abruptly ended. Assuming it was a prank, Han-chul started putting on shoes when the phone rang again and disconnected instantly. A sense of unease crept over him.
누구세요? 여보세요, 누구세요?
Panicked, Han-chul returned to the park to find his granddaughter gone from the swing. Hours later, police arrived at Han-chul's home. Certain the kidnapper would call for ransom, the landline soon rang. The kidnapper warned the girl's mother not to alert police and demanded 50 million won. When the mother asked to confirm her child's safety, the kidnapper hung up immediately. The terrified woman fainted. She had undergone a heart transplant. Police traced the call to a remote phone booth with no cameras or witnesses. Only a cigarette but remained, baffling investigators. If the kidnapper was so cautious, why leave such an obvious clue? During their analysis, the kidnapper called again. To ensure ransom payment, he offered proof the girl was alive. The mother could stop an approaching garbage truck carrying evidence. Seeing a photo of the abducted girl and hearing the demand to leave ransom at a train station pillar at noon just like 15 years ago, police realized this was the same kidnapper. At dawn, an officer found Chong-ho. Learning the kidnapper had resurfaced, Chong-ho, though no longer a cop, felt renewed energy. To fulfill his promise to Ha-kyung, he agreed to help without hesitation. Drawing on the lessons from the past, Chong-ho immediately boarded the train without delay, while directing the police to establish a comprehensive, gap-free surveillance perimeter at the kidnapper's designated station platform. Even though they had covered every possible angle, the sheer number of soldiers disembarking overwhelmed them. The platform instantly became a sea of green uniforms, making it impossible for the police to pinpoint the target accurately. Although Chong-ho had deciphered the kidnapper's tactics, the kidnapper still managed to swiftly swap the ransom package amidst the chaos. Believing he had made a clean escape, the kidnapper was fortunately spotted by Chong-ho. Seeing Chong-ho relentlessly pursuing him, the kidnapper could only summon every ounce of strength and flee desperately. But just as he was about to throw the money bag over the iron gate, he was swiftly subdued by Chong-ho, who had caught up. To everyone's utter astonishment, the kidnapper before them was the girl's own grandfather. The interrogation of Han-chul revealed the truth. Shortly after the police arrived at his home that day, Han-chul, sitting dazed on the park bench, suddenly heard a phone ringing from the bushes. Hearing his granddaughter's cries for help on the phone, Hanchul had no choice but to follow the kidnapper's demands. Without informing anyone, he went alone to an abandoned warehouse. The kidnapper then seized the moment of his distraction, suddenly locking the main door securely from the outside. After an unknown length of time, the warehouse door inexplicably opened. Hanchul initially wanted to call the police immediately, but upon looking up, he found a note left by the kidnapper in the passenger seat. It clearly stated, "If you want your granddaughter safe and sound, quickly put on the military uniform and go collect the ransom at the train station to protect his granddaughter's life." Hanchul had no choice but to obey the kidnapper's instructions. Although Hanchul's explanation seemed plausible, his subconscious action of stubbing out a cigarette instantly aroused the team leader's suspicion. To verify his hunch, he ordered his men to Hanchul's hometown immediately. After examining the environment inside the house, police were shocked to discover that the background in the photo of the kidnapped girl matched their current location. Comparing Hanchul's cigarette but confirmed the DNA matched the one from the phone booth, strongly suggesting Hanchul might be lying. To further test this theory, police investigated Hanchul's background. Unexpectedly, they found that despite his seemingly happy life, 15 years prior, Hanchul had incurred massive debts from a failed business venture. Desperate, he had applied for a bank loan, but the bank employee at the time coldly rejected him. Ironically, that same employee later became Hanchul's son-in-law. Based on this chain of information, police had ample reason to believe Hanchul was indeed the kidnapper of his own granddaughter. His motive was likely revenge against his son-in-law, staging the entire kidnapping himself. Given the similarities to the case 15 years prior, it was highly possible Hanchul was also the kidnapper who had taken Hakyung's daughter. To force Hanchul to confess, police subjected him to intense interrogation, though Hanchul denied everything. Considering the heinous nature of the crime and wanting to avoid further delays, police decided to convict him using the existing evidence. Hanchul was soon transported to prison. Just as police thought the case was closed, Chong-ho challenged their conclusion. He argued that if Hanchul was truly the meticulous kidnapper, why would he leave behind a cigarette butt? Furthermore, why perfectly replicate a 15-year-old crime and take such a risk? A grandfather kidnapping his granddaughter for revenge seemed implausible. The real kidnapper must be someone else. This perpetrator had chosen Hanchul as the target from the start. By observing Hanchul's daily life and incorporating details from the 15-year-old kidnapping, the kidnapper upgraded his methods to mislead police and perfectly frame Hanchul. Despite Chong-ho's logical reasoning, the impatient police dismissed it. Unwilling to let an innocent man suffer, Chong-ho quietly launched his own investigation. He visited the warehouse where Hanchul was imprisoned and found a partially damaged recording tape. After the repair shop owner listened, he detected faint, guiding sounds on the tape, proving the kidnapper had deliberately played the cries for help to lure Hanchul into the warehouse. Armed with this crucial information, Chong-ho reported it to the police team leader, urging them to stop their misguided actions. Instead, the leader presented a document. Voice print analysis confirmed Hanchul was the kidnapper from 15 years ago. Though the statute of limitations had expired for that crime, the current evidence proved Hanchul was the mastermind behind this new kidnapping. As for the granddaughter, given Hanchul's ruthless nature, they believed she had likely been killed and discarded. Though the leader's points had merit, Chong-ho remained unconvinced. Seeking closure, he asked the repair shop owner to compare the voice samples. To Chong-ho's shock, the voice on the tape from Hakyung's daughter's kidnapping 15 years ago matched the voice in the current case. Both were Hanchul's. It seemed the police were right, but just as Chong-ho was starting to accept the truth, the repair shop owner dropped a twist. The tape Chong-ho found in the warehouse had terrible audio quality, muffled, distorted, and filled with static. It was nothing like a clean, original recording. Even if the voice was the same, it wasn't from the same source tape.
어디서 많이 듣지 않았어? 이게 말이야, 같은 거야. 15년 전 범인의 음성을 카피해서 녹음기에서 재생한 거라고.
예? 아 그럼 15년 전에 범인의 음성을 이용해서 똑같이 협박한 거란 거예요?
빙고. 음질이 탁한 이유가 바로 그거야.
Hearing this, Chong-ho formed a new theory. With help from his former police colleagues, he traced a phone signal to a remote island. There, he saw Hakyung with Hanchul's granddaughter, and the truth finally emerged. After failing to catch the kidnapper and the statute of limitations expiring, Hakyung still refused to give up. She went to a soup restaurant to question the owner. Though the owner hadn't seen the kidnapper clearly, Hakyung found an umbrella left behind. Noticing bank information printed on it, Ha Kyung went to the bank. By offering money for secrecy, she obtained detailed information about the umbrella's owner. She immediately called Choi Ho for help with the investigation, but he didn't answer. Ha Kyung was forced to act alone, relentlessly following the trail. She finally found Han Cheol's hometown. Seeing the date of his daughter's abduction marked on the calendar, Ha Kyung knew she had found the kidnapper. At first, she wanted to send Han Cheol straight to hell, but reason made her decide to give up that thought. However, when she witnessed Han Cheol holding his granddaughter, another plan for revenge ignited in her. Ha Kyung decided to copy Han Cheol's original crime. She secretly took his granddaughter. With a flawless plan, she framed the kidnapping on Han Cheol, ensuring he would be punished. Far from harming the girl, Ha Kyung cared for her as if she were his own daughter. Now that Chon Ho knew the whole truth, Ha Kyung pleaded with him not to take the girl away, insisting Han Cheol must rot in prison, but Chon Ho refused to let Ha Kyung compound his mistakes, leading to a fierce argument between them. Seeing Chon Ho's unwavering stance, Ha Kyung could only utter painful words.
15년 전 일에 대해 대가를 치러야 하지 않나요? 그게 맞는 일이잖아요. 내가 어떻게 악착같이 15년을 버텨왔는지 오 형사님 모르세요. 오 형사님만 잠깐만 눈 감아주시면 되는 일이에요. 재판이 있을 때까지만, 그놈을 잡아가둘 수 있을 때까지만!
Feeling the weight of Ha Kyung's suffering, Chon Ho was torn on his way back. He didn't know what decision to make. After a brutal internal struggle, Chon Ho reached his own resolution. He then visited the imprisoned Han Cheol. Without preamble, he confronted Han Cheol with the truth, demanding to know why he could commit such monstrous acts. Realizing he could no longer hide and knowing the 15-year statute of limitations had passed, Han Cheol admitted everything. He explained that he kidnapped Ha Kyung's daughter years ago solely because his granddaughter had inherited her congenital heart disease. Unable to bear seeing his beloved granddaughter suffer, he turned to crime to fund her treatment. He never intended to harm Ella. That night, after taking Ha Kyung's ransom, as he prepared to release Ella, she suddenly stabbed him with a pencil, fearing she had seen his face. He chased her to explain, but Ella tripped over tree roots and fell from the woods onto the road below. Ever since, he'd been consumed by guilt. As the statute of limitations neared its end, he quietly placed a bouquet of memorial flowers by the roadside, hoping to find some peace. Hearing Han Cheol paint himself as noble, an enraged Chon Ho could no longer contain himself. With the 15-year statute expired, and knowing Han Cheol's granddaughter was his deepest vulnerability, Chon Ho saw only one path. He issued a chilling threat.
무사히 집에 돌아오길 바래. 범이 내가 데리고 있다고 했어.
Chon Ho had, after all, already taken the girl to ensure his granddaughter's healthy future and finally settle the score with Ha Kyung. Han Cheol had no choice but to accept Chon Ho's demand, take full blame for kidnapping his own granddaughter. Ultimately, the monstrous man was sentenced by the judge to 15 years in prison. As the case drew to a close, Ha Kyung had finally used his own method to clear her daughter's name and achieve justice.